Okay, welcome to part 2 of the summary of the Friday, October 3rd success session for 11th graders, our brand new students. The next section is very important because it gives you several things to think about when choosing classes for winter semester. Hopefully it'll be a few more weeks before we'll see scenes like this. But winter registration, as you heard in part 1, starts on November 3rd. So actually less than a month away, you can start choosing and registering for your winter classes. I know you're only picking 2 classes in the winter. It's really not all that much, but you might as well try to pick wisely and also start to get an understanding of what it takes to earn a degree at SC4. So we're going to go over all that over the next probably 30-35 minutes. So this segment's going to be a little longer. There's a lot of information in it. If you need to view some of it, pause, get a cup of Diet Coke or coffee or cocoa, whatever you like to stay awake, but there is important information in it. So I encourage you to stay focused, and again, if you need to take a break, I totally understand. So here we go. So when you choose classes for any semester, and your first semester for really picking your classes and registering for them on your own is for this winter. So there's several things to consider. We'll talk about all of these. Number one is the requirements for your degree. So we'll talk about what it takes to get a degree at SC4, and of course if you're not sure of what degree you want yet, that's okay, it's understandable. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. Another thing to consider is, will the courses transfer to a college or university beyond SC4? In most cases, in short, most of them will transfer, but not necessarily all of them. And it just does depend on what program you're going into at the university and so on. And I realize a lot of this you guys aren't sure about yet, but we just have to introduce this now, and we'll keep talking about it through next year and even in grade 13. And that's another area where the SC4 advisors can be of help. You also want to consider what the prerequisite classes are for any future classes you want. In other words, if you know you want to take accounting, the accounting classes at SC4, then you want to make sure to take Introduction to College Accounting, because that's a prerequisite for Accounting 1, and then Accounting 1 leads into Accounting 2. Just as you need to take English 101 before you can take English 102. So we'll talk a little bit about prerequisites. A few of you may need to take college classes to fulfill high school graduation requirements, especially students who attend tech and who are not at their partner school very much. Just one class this year and no classes senior year. So they're going to have to pick college classes that will fulfill those graduation requirements. And finally, you want to consider, what do you want to take? What do you think you'll enjoy? What are you interested in that might help you determine a career path? And that's important. So sometimes you might not take into account transferability of a class that may help you, though, determine what you want to do. So there's great value in that. So we'll talk about all those things. We'll spend most of the time on the first one, which is the requirements for a degree at SC4. I know that's the goal of 95% of our students. That's to earn an associate degree by the end of their middle college career, or at least get close by the end. So let's talk about that. So from the SC4 catalog, I'm going to put these all up here now. The SC4 states that a student must complete the specific associate degree program requirements as listed in the catalog. Now we'll talk about that in the minutes to come. Other things to be aware of: a student needs to complete a minimum of 62 credit hours of 100 level or higher courses with a cumulative grade point average of 2.0 or above. Now 62 credit hours might sound like an awful lot, but remember, college credit hours are different than high school credit hours. College success is worth 2 of these credit hours, and many of you are taking speech or political science, and those are worth 3 credit hours. So at the end of this semester, you'll already have 5 of those 62 underway. Any courses lower than 100 level, in other words, if you're going to take Math 075 or Math 75, that's a course that you may be required to take as a prerequisite to Math 102, but those credits don't go towards the 62. And finally, that magic grade level of a 2.0 or C or above. If one or more of your courses is below a C grade, as long as it's a D- or above, the credits will count towards your degree. It's just that your average of all your courses when you look to apply for graduation from the college, your average grade point has to be a 2.0 or above. There's one other requirement that won't really apply to you, and the college says that you must complete a minimum of 18 credits at SC4, and that is all your credits will be at SC4. This is more for students who transfer from another college to SC4. SC4 is saying you must take at least 18 credit hours here, but you'll have that one down no problem. Okay. So let's dig into this idea of what it means when they say you must complete the specific associate degree program requirements as listed in the catalog. And our little question guy there is saying, how do I know what's required for a degree? So one of the best ways, and I think the simplest ways to show you and help you kind of plan out what courses you might want to take is through the graduation worksheets. The college includes a kind of generic graduation worksheet in the catalog. We've taken the graduation worksheets and made them more specific to three of the main degrees that our students would pursue. We're going to look at just one of them. We only looked at one during the face-to-face, the in-person session. We're just going to look at one of them in the summary as well. And this is a graduation worksheet for an associate degree in the arts. This is probably the most common associate degree earned by SC4 students, and that includes Blue Water Middle College students. I am going to zoom in on each of these segments, especially if you're watching this video on a small screen, your iPad or whatever. It's probably going to be kind of hard to see these sections, but I wanted to give you the whole picture. This is the whole page. You'll see there's different groups of courses, different content areas, and you need to meet requirements in all of these areas, such as social science, the humanities, the sciences, biological and physical are in the lower left, and so on. So I'm going to cut each of these sections and zoom in a little bit, so let's get started and see how this all works. Okay, here we go. So first, again, this is for an associate in arts. You'll look at, we're zoomed into the upper left now, and it says this is for the social science credits. You need 8 credit hours or more, but at least 8 are required to earn a degree in the associate in arts. Now it lists different areas such as anthropology, economics, geography, history, political science, and so on. As you take classes, you add up the credits, and for example, I put a 3 down for political science. Many of our students actually are taking poli-sci or political science 101, so they're going to be able to put 3 credits on that line and have 3 towards their 8 credits required. Some of you then may take psychology, Psych 180, or maybe there's other psychology classes, and you would put those credits down and then eventually add up. So you would hope, whoops, sorry about that, you would hope to get to 8 on this line up here, and many students will go over, but you need at least 8 here. So this student would need one more class. They could take anthropology 171 or whatever. You'll search for the classes in the online catalog. I'll show you how to do that. But this is the meeting the requirements for the social science group. Even if you think you're going to be more of a scientist going into biology, you still need 8 credits or more in social science. Okay. So the next group below that on the sheet are the humanities, and you can see the types of classes that are considered humanities classes: literature classes, foreign language, they call modern language, French, Spanish, German, and Chinese they teach at SC4. Your speech class, if you're taking speech, you can put the 3 credits on the line there. Art classes, music, theater, philosophy, and so on. One of the things you want to be aware of is that some of the content areas have parentheses, and they have classes in those parentheses. So the credits, for example, if we look at art, the credits that will count towards your degree for the art classes are only Art 120, Art 121, or Art 122. Now, it doesn't mean you can't take Art 104 or 105 or 106, which has you doing more drawing and sculpting and things like that. Those art credits would go more towards your elective credits. And there's a lot of need for elective credits. But in terms of the humanities credits, it has to be Art 120, 121, or 122. So it's the same for music. To count for these 8 credits, which are required, you have to take either Music 106 or Music 110. There are several other music classes you can take. They're all good. They count towards your electives to help reach that 62 count. of total credits, but just know that if you choose a music class and you want it to count for your humanities credits, it's got to be 106 or 110. So when you're looking at college worksheets, and this will happen at SC4 and it even gets more complicated at the university, a couple things to keep in mind. Look at the parentheses, look at asterisks. You've got to read those so you don't make a mistake. And the other thing I would recommend is always, if you're unsure, talk to an advisor, and they'll help you understand these. It's what they do. So that was the humanities. We've looked at social science. Now we're in the lower left, which has the sciences. There's science requirements, even for an associate in arts. You'll see at the top of the screen, it'll say 6 to 8 credits between group 3 and 4, with at least one lab from one of the groups. Now that word between means you can choose both your classes from the biological sciences, and there are several biology classes. Only 100 is listed here, but there's a lot more you can take. You could have both classes from the physical science group, and you can see all the types of classes that are physical science classes. Or you can do one of each. You could do Bio 100 and Astronomy, for example. So because the word is between these groups, not either or, you have a little more freedom in the associate in the arts. 6 to 8 credits, that will be 2 classes for the most part. Science classes are either 3, 4, or 5 credits. So to get it between 6 and 8, you have to take at least 2 classes. Some students might take 3 or 4. But as a minimum, you need to take 2. It says the one has to be a lab. A lot of the science classes have labs associated with them. How you find out whether it has a lab is by looking at the course description. For example, if you looked at meteorology, which is actually GEO, which stands for Geography 105, that will say whether or not it has any lab hours with it. Okay, and we'll help with that. There's so much to talk about now, but basically know that you've got to pick a couple of science classes by the time you are finished to get your degree. And there I'm showing you how you can, someone might take astronomy for 3 credits and then biology for 4. They would have met this requirement because they'll have 7 credits, and Bio 100 has a lab, so the student would have completed the requirements. Now we're moving up to the upper right-hand part of the worksheet, and we're going to look at 2 groups, the mathematics group and oral communication. In mathematics, they give you several ways of meeting the requirements. Math 104 is kind of a general math class, not a real high-level math class. However, and I'm putting this up there just to show you, a student still has to take at least Math 102 or test over 102 to be able to test and to take Math 104. Okay, so if your compass test or your ACT test places you into Math 102, you would need to take that class, and then you could take Math 104. You would have then met the math requirements for the degree. Now, some students want to go higher in math, and in that case, Math 120 could fulfill the requirements. That's a statistics class. I was just talking to a student who, for his future academic and career needs, knows he needs statistics, so he's trying to get to Math 120. Now, you can't jump from Math 102 right to Math 120. You would have to take Math 102, then you can take Math 110. Once that's completed, you can take Math 120. Okay, so I don't know if you can see how this works. Or if you test right into Math 110, you can place into that, you take that class, and then you can then take Math 120. Okay, if your score is high enough, you might place right into Math 120, and you could take that and be done. So there's a lot of different paths to get to these math classes. Math 113 is pre-calculus at SC4, and that has a little higher path. So in this case, depending on where you place into initially, if you completed Math 110 and Math 111, then you're ready for Math 113. You could take that and earn your degree. But this one will probably take some meetings with some of us to help you out, because there's a lot of different ways of getting this requirement done. Okay? The oral communication group is much easier. Many of you are completing that one right now. That requirement says that a student must take one of these 2 classes as part of their degree. And in this case, many of you are taking or will take Speech 101. Once you've done that, then you have no need to take oral interpretation, which is more of a theatrical form of speech. A student could take oral interpretation and not take Speech 101. That would be okay. So just so you know, that's an option, but most of our students take the traditional Speech 101 class, Introduction to Speech Communications, and get that met. And so once that's done, you would check this off. If you remember a few screens back under the Humanities, there was a line for speech, and that's where you would write the 3 credits. This is just a checkoff box because it's a class that you must take. Okay? Moving down the right side of the graduation worksheet, computer literacy. Basically, the college says you must take CIS 115. A few of our students are taking that, which is great. Once that's done, you would put the 4 here because it's a line. The way these worksheets are set up, it's not just a check off. You can put the 4 credits down and they count towards your 62. But you're also fulfilling the requirements for group 7. Okay. Your writing requirements, you have 6 credits there, and it's very specific. A student must take English 101 and 102. If you have high Compass scores, high ACT scores, or high college grades, you can qualify for the honors program and taking honors classes. That's what the English 101H and 102H are. Those are honors classes. But most of our students will take English 101 and 102, and then they'll be done with group 8, the writing group. And finally, in this box, this is another check off because the Political Science 101, I'm looking at the bottom now, that's a class that many of you are taking right now. Others will take it in the winter or next fall. And the 3 credits go over under the social science requirements because you need 8 of those. And this is simply a check off saying, you know, the SC4 says you must take Political Science 101. You can't just take psychology classes to fulfill your social science requirements. So once you do that, then you'll have those that group done, and that again is just a check off. Okay, so you can kind of see how you have some flexibility over to the left. On the right side, it's a little more specific in terms of the courses you have to take. Now, there still is a lot of room for electives, so don't feel like everything is, you know, structured. You'll have about 18, maybe even 20 credits of electives that you can choose. So if you remember, I talked about maybe taking Art 104 or 105 where you actually get to draw or paint or sculpt. Those would go here. So you would write down, for example, you will be able to write down SD 140, that's college success, and you write down the number of credits. Okay, and this is if a student took accounting 189. You won't see accounting show up as a social science or humanities or a science class, so it goes over here under electives. Other business courses might be electives. All the computer courses beyond CIS 115 show up, they'd be electives, and it's fine. You could put a welding class under here. So you will have the chance to take 5, 6, or 7 pure elective classes to help you total up the 62 credits that you need. Okay? So we have worksheets for the arts, which is the one we just saw. We have the Associate in Science worksheet and also General Education degree in that folder that I mentioned in the part 1. And here's the address to get to that folder. So you can go there, you can print out the one you want, and you can keep track of your credits that you're earning in the different areas by printing it out. And I'll also show you when we get there that there's a digital copy, an Excel version that Ms. Weimer created. If you're someone that likes to kind of use the computer to keep track of things, it's kind of neat what she put together. So here's the URL. So if you want to write this down, you can pause the video now, but I'm going to click on it, and we're going to go back to that folder that we went to in the first session. It should come up in just a moment. And it's a Google Doc folder that I created that you guys as students can access and download some of these things. There are 2 ways of viewing this. Right now I'm seeing a little preview of the documents. If you click on over where it says List View, you'll see more of the title. So in this case, I'm going to go to the Associate in Arts worksheet that we just looked at, and I want to show you how you could then print this. Okay, and there's a link to print it, or if you want to work with it, you can't. It's a PDF, so you won't be able to type right into it, but you can download this onto your computer, iPad, so you have it. You don't always have to log into this folder to see it. Okay. So So I'm going to close this. Let's go back. And there's an associate in science worksheet right here. And I won't go into great detail. Most of the requirements are the same. The big difference is down in the science where you need 18 credits between group 3 and 4. If you remember, for the arts you only needed between 6 and 8 credits. Well, it just makes sense that if you're getting an associate in science that you are going to need more science credits. The math is a little bit higher as well. Okay, I want to show you the graduation worksheet that is an Excel document, so you can actually keep track of your credits. To do this now, you won't be able to enter anything right in this online folder. You will have to download this, and you'll see the little icon up here to download, and it will ask where you want to save it, and then you can open it up in Excel or a program that will open Excel, such as Google Docs, and then you'll be able to actually type in, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, you will be able to type in the credits as you take them. Okay, anything that's gray you will be allowed to type in. In this case, the student could put a 3 in political science or whatever. This is just a sample numbers that Ms. Weimer put in this. And you can actually, over to the right side, enter the classes you're taking or notes. Maybe you say, you know, I'm planning on taking this winter of 2016 or something like that. When you have 8 or more credits in here, you will see this word done show up, and you know that you're done. So it's kind of a fun digital way of keeping track of things. Even to the point of your electives, you'll see in a second here, you can enter your courses in, enter the credits, and it will keep track of how many you still need. So Ms. Weimer used her Excel skills to put together a great document that will keep track of this for you. But again, to do this, you're going to have to download it to your computer and then save it as a new name, and then you'll be able to work with it. If you want to do that and you're not sure how, stop in and see Ms. Weimer, or I think I will be able to help with that. Mr. Ruiz, I think, also will be able to help with that. Okay, so those are some of the documents. I'm going to go back to the preview mode. You've got your worksheets that look like this. Each one is for a different area. And then you have your graduation worksheets here, okay, for the different ones. So we're going to go back to the presentation now and move on. There is a whole other group of degrees at SC4 that are called Applied Arts and Science degrees. It gets a little confusing because they include the word arts and science in that, but these are called Applied Arts and Sciences, and they're much more specific. Degrees such as criminal justice, the general business associate degree, early childhood education, there's graphics, there's computer programming, computer networking, there's a few dozen degrees that are available, but the Applied Arts and Science, or the AAS degrees, have far fewer electives, and you really need to be aware of prerequisite courses because they're often laid out where you must take this before you can take this one, and you must take that one before you can take this one. So to see what's required for an Associate Applied Arts and Science degree, go to the SC4 online catalog. Again, if you can try this out, you can pause the video and go there and try to find a degree you're interested in. But basically, you're going to SC4's homepage, you're going to choose Academics, the college catalog, then the 2014-15 catalog, programs of study, and then you will see a list of all the degrees offered. And so you might want to look through that and see if there's anything that looks interesting to you. Those are also two-year degrees, but they are not designed to transfer as well as the Associate in Arts or Science transfer degrees. So let's take a look at some of the things you'll see for the criminal justice. I took some screenshots of that, so I'm not going to go to the internet right now. But what you'll see is I've cut off some of the page, but they'll have the courses listed for the course. And again, you can see it's very specific. They're not saying you can take Psych 180. They're saying, for example, you must take Psychology 180. You must take Speech, again, and then the criminal justice courses. Now, what's neat about this when you go online is you can click directly on the course name and it will bring up a little description so you can learn more about it. So let's do that. I'll do it with a screenshot. And as you'll see, it lists the course, a little description of police procedures, CJ 105, and it will tell you if there are any prerequisite classes. If you had to take CJ 101 before this, it would say that. It would list CJ 101. In this case, it gives the number of credits. It says 3 lecture credits. If it was going to have a lab associated with it, it would say 3 lecture plus 1 lab. You would see the word lab mentioned in there. So this one is pure lecture, no lab. Okay, so that's how you see a little bit about the courses. There's kind of a neat thing you can link to, which is called a planner, a degree planner, and I just did a little screenshot of this, but it lists all the courses. You can print it, and then you can write down when you have either taken this course or when you want to take the course. You can even include your grade and so on. What's good about this, it gives you a suggested course sequence. Most of you won't be able to follow this exactly because you guys don't have time right now to take 5 courses in one semester. You'll have time to get this all done, but you really have to plan carefully. The nice thing about this is usually if you're going to look at choosing a class, in the second year of the first semester, like, CJ 215 near the bottom, Basic Criminal Investigation, there's a good chance that there will be a prerequisite class, such as CJ 101 or something like that. So you can take these classes if they're available, but you do want to double check to make sure there's no prerequisites that you have to meet before that. So this is an example of one of the applied arts and science degrees. So again, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. We will be glad to meet with you and talk about this. Just get in touch with one of us. So we talked about, remember there's 5 things to consider when picking classes. This was the longest segment right there, requirements for the degree. Okay. Now for transferability, there's several things you can do. You can visit the Michigan Transfer Network, and there's the address for that. I'm not going to show that right now just to save time. We really didn't have much time at the session to do it, and they had changed things a little bit. But I will show you kind of quickly what's called the Michigan Transfer Agreement. The other thing which we talked about but we didn't have time to do is visit a university website that you hope to attend. If you're thinking of going to Oakland University for journalism, then for example, you could go to their site and click on credit transfer, and one of us would be glad to show you how to do that because there's a lot involved, but it's really kind of cool what you can find. One of the documents that's in that same folder I was talking about is some information on the Michigan Transfer Agreement. So I'm going to spend a minute or two on that. Again, going back to the success folder, and here's the Michigan Transfer Agreement. I'm going to click on that, zoom in a little bit, and you can download this, print it off. But these are courses right here that if you take them at SC4, if you follow these requirements, then all these universities listed below will transfer these 30 credits. They're guaranteed to transfer the 30 credits of the courses you take above. So everything from Albion all the way down to W, the Wayne State, and Western Michigan. So all these schools last spring agreed on these new course requirements. So, and most of you, if you follow the Associate in Arts requirements, will meet these. It says you need English 101, you need English 102. Well, you need those for your degree here anyway. It says 2 courses in social science from 2 different disciplines. Well, for example, this could be Political Science 101. This could be Psychology 180. So in most cases, by just completing your degree requirements, you'll be completing the Michigan Transfer Agreement requirements too. So here again is your Humanities, 2 courses in Science. It's exactly what SC4 requires right there. You need 30 credits altogether. They have to be a 2.0 or better in all of these courses if you want this block of 30 courses to transfer. Okay. If you get below a 2.0, you just hopefully another class can be used to fulfill this. And it doesn't mean the courses won't transfer if you don't complete the Michigan Transfer Agreement requirements, but it really is nice, a nice good package of credits that's 1 year of college. Pretty much guaranteed if you meet these requirements. Okay, more on transferability in the future, but for right now that's a little bit on transferring. Back to the presentation. But that's one thing you might want to check on, and we'll be glad to help. And one of the ways we will, but also the SC4 advisors, that's the bottom bullet here, that's what they do. They help in a lot of areas, but one of them is if you say, Mr. Zeig, I'm considering Saginaw Valley, I'm considering Central Michigan and Michigan State, they'll be able to help you choose classes that will transfer well to those colleges or universities. Okay, so you can see we're moving more quickly now. We said to consider requirements for your degree, transferability, and then we've talked a little bit about prerequisites. I don't have to spend a lot of time on that. You sometimes hear them referred to as prereqs, but the full name is prerequisites. It's a class or a test score that you must take, you must meet before you can register for another class. So examples that I mentioned, English 101, you have to pass that before you can take English 102. It's not always true, like History 101, you don't have to take that before History 102. Each class is different. You have to look in the course catalog at the course description to find out if there's a prerequisite for it. Okay? You will see them listed under the course description. And just to show you a quick example, whoops, I'm going to go back. I am going to exit out. We're going to go back to the web. And I'm going to go to the course catalog, so I'll show you how to do that. Under Academics from the main website, you'll see course catalog. You want to go with the most current catalog, which is the 2014 year, 2014-2015. They have a digital version out there now. This is new this year, but it looks like it's working pretty well. In this case, you'll see a link over here called Course Descriptions. I clicked on that, and there we are. I'm going to scroll down, and in this case, they're all in alphabetical order. Let's see if I can find a biology one. Pardon my fast scrolling there. So let's say, for instance, we want to take a course called General Zoology. You like animals, you want to take a course on zoology. So I'm going to click on that. It will open up the description, okay? And so it talks about what the course is. Here's where it says prerequisites right here. It's a little hard to see because it's gray, but it says prerequisites, Bio 100 or 2 years of high school biology. So if you took regular biology and AP biology, that would do it. Otherwise, you have to take Bio 100 at SC4. So that's where you see the prerequisites. Something else to note, it talks about the number of credits. There's 5 credits for this class. It says plus 2 contact hours, and it's broken down as 3 lecture and 4 laboratory. So once you see that word laboratory there, then this is a lab class. And remember how some of the requirements are for a laboratory class. This would fulfill that requirement. Okay, so that's what you'll find in your course descriptions, and you can see how to get there through the college catalog. Okay, we're almost done. Hang in there. Let's go back to the session. And now we've jumped down to our 4th thing to consider, high school graduation requirements needed. Most of you, it's a little early to worry about that. I would say more if you are a student attending tech to get in touch with us so we can help you know exactly what classes you need to take at SC4 to fulfill your requirements. Right now, most of you should be earning all your high school requirements at your partner high school. And then finally, it talks about the enjoyment or interest. You might just want to take the class. It's a chance to do sculpting or painting or electronics or welding or engineering graphics or something like that. It's not a typical academic class, but it's part of what's offered here at SC4. The credits would count as elective credits. And again, this might help you discover a field you had not thought of and that you really like, and that can make a huge difference in your life. Okay, near the end now, I want to show you one more document that's listed in that folder, and it's for keeping track of what you're taking, but not just numbers on a worksheet. It's this one that looks more like a calendar, and this is a Word document, so if you download it, you will be able to type right into it, or you can just print it off as is and write in pencil. And that's what you'll see me doing and us doing when you come in here. Often we'll write down what you've taken by semester. This is the first semester of 11th grade, second semester, and so on. Okay, so this is where you would get a feel for what you want to take when. It certainly can change, and it probably will change, but your program of study sheet is something you want to start as early as this fall in your planning, and then just keep coming back to it and modify it as needed. Okay, so you just enter, for example, I have an example here, Political Science 101, and then maybe -3 or put a 3 in parentheses. You'd have SD 140 -2. You can add up your credits each semester on this little line, and ultimately near the bottom you want to get this total to be 62 credits. Okay, the bottom of the sheet also lists how many credits you can take each semester. As an 11th grader, it's 6 to 8 credits per semester. It's 2 courses, 12th grade 9 to 11, and then 13th year it's 14 to 16 credits per semester. Okay, so that's the program of study. And whoops, where are we? Let's go back here. So I'm not sure if you can see the caption of this cartoon, but it says, "Mr. Osborne, may I be excused? My brain is full." Well, I'm sure your brain is full of all this information. Basically, the last slide just says, please contact us for one-on-one help. There's a lot to digest here. We'll be glad to help you. I want you to make sure you set aside October 24th to come to SC4. Remember, we're going to meet in the cafeteria of the College Center building, not room 201. We'll send out that notice later. And it's Tuesday as I record this, so the next weekend is kind of far away, but this was, of course, the last thing we showed students on Friday afternoon. So there will be assignments related to both Part 1 and Part 2. We'll try not to make them a whole lot for you, but there's things that you're going to have to know and do a little bit of work on to make sure that you understand the information that was in these presentations. Okay, so thank you very much for viewing this, and holler if you have any questions.